Tonight, former WWE NXT Cruiserweight Champion Kushida makes his Impact Wrestling in-ring debut. Plus, we have news on a knockout signing a new multi-year contract with Impact Wrestling. All this and more in today's Impact Wrestling News. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of Impact Wrestling. Of course, it's Thursday. You know what that means. It's another episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV. And we're going to talk about what to expect on tonight's show. Plus, we are going to talk about a knockout signing, a new contract, as I just stated, with the company. But let's get into tonight's show, that being Kushida's in-ring debut with Impact Wrestling. So, of course, last week saw New Japan Pro Wrestling star, former NXT superstar, former WWE superstar, former NXT Cruiserweight Champion Kushida make his highly anticipated Impact Wrestling debut when he came to the aid of the Motor City Machine Guns following another attack by the hands of Violent by Design. But this Thursday, tonight, Kushida will compete inside of an Impact Wrestling ring for the first time ever as he goes one-on-one with a pretty impressive opponent, that being former Impact World Champion Rich Swann. Now, the match actually came about after Swann approached Impact Wrestling's Executive Vice President Scott D'Amore with a desire to work his way back up for another Impact World Championship opportunity. Really excited to see this one, really interested in seeing this one. We spoke about Kushida previously coming into Impact Wrestling, and we don't know. We don't know how long it's going to last for. We don't really know the end game. We don't know if this is going to be his North American base, if you will, because of course he is still living in North America. Whilst he is signed to New Japan Pro Wrestling, whilst he is going to be doing tours over there in Japan, whilst of course he's going to be making appearances on New Japan Strong, their American footprint, the chances are, given the working relationship that is there with Impact Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's absolutely possible that Kushida could be making regular appearances on Impact Wrestling going forward. And if that is the case, whilst New Japan will have priority, New Japan will always have priority, Kushida's essentially said, now that I've left WWE, New Japan is going to be my home for the remainder of my career, but I am still going to live in the United States. When he signed with WWE, he moved to the United States. He lives in Orlando, just around the corner from the Performance Center. He doesn't plan on moving back to Japan anytime soon because he's got a young family and he's got a family that's based there in America, so he's going to stick around. So if that is the case, there is definitely a lot of chance that we could see more of Kushida in Impact Wrestling. And if that is the case, talk about a guy that's perfect for the X Division. I know we're kind of retreading old ground here, but I've said this a million times about the X Division Championship, that the X Division Championship is so great because it's a chameleon championship. And what I mean by that is it evolves, it changes, it manifests itself depending on who's holding it. If you have, like at the moment, Speedball Mike Bailey holding the X Division Championship, it's more of a Cruiserweight Light Heavyweight Championship. If you have someone like Josh Alexander holding the X Division Championship, it becomes an Intercontinental Championship, a Television Championship, a Mid-Card Championship. It can change, it can evolve. That's what's great about it. And, the cliche of it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits is absolutely true. It's about great wrestling matches. And Kushida absolutely fits into that. Of course, he's the classic junior heavyweight, so if he would hold it, it would be more of a Cruiserweight Championship. But remember when Kushida was in WWE, when he was in NXT, and he was the NXT champion, the plan was at the time, this was in the dying days of the Black and Gold brand, the plan was to really have a big push on the Cruiserweight division and really go for it once again. And obviously that got dropped with a lot of things at the end of the Black and Gold era of NXT. And then obviously once they moved to NXT 2.0, he just, like a lot of things with the Black and Gold brand, people that were over on that brand just didn't fit NXT 2.0. So I'm glad to see that he's doing great stuff now in New Japan and Impact Wrestling. The match against Rich Swann, I'm very excited to see. Rich Swann's a fascinating one, isn't it? Because you look back on his run that he had with Impact in late 2020, almost let's say mid to late 2020 into 2021. You kind of, I don't want to say forget he was the Impact World Champion, because the statistics speak for itself. When he was the Impact World Champion, the ratings for Impact anyway were pretty decent. They were doing some of the best numbers that they've ever done on Access TV. Granted, was that all Rich Swann? No, that was largely due to the lack of spoilers being out there because of the closed door tapings they were doing at the time. The AEW crossover was a big part of that. Having Kenny Omega and other AEW stars appearing on the show was also because of that. But at the time, it was also Rich Swann was the Impact World Champion. He was waving the flag for Impact Wrestling. And it feels like after he dropped the Impact World Championship to Kenny Omega, he just never really recovered. Now, I don't know if that's because last year there was all this discussion about won't he sign a new contract with Impact Wrestling. His deal was coming up, and I'm assuming that he has signed a new one. Otherwise, he wouldn't be around, or maybe he's working on a handshake per appearance still. We don't know. I'm assuming he signed a new deal with Impact, and maybe again this is the way for him to work back up to a main event match, because think about it. Josh Alexander versus Rich Swann, Impact World Championship. That's interesting. That's a match I can get behind. But it's been a long way for Rich Swann, certainly. So I'm interested to see that. But yeah, very interested to see this match tonight. I'm sure it'll be great. Other matches that have been announced for the show include Josh Alexander versus Shira. Of course, in just 3 weeks' time, Josh Alexander will defend the Impact World Championship against one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, that being Alex Shelley, in what is going to be Shelley's first ever World Championship opportunity. But first, Alexander's going to have to go through the Indian Lion Shira when they meet in singles competition. I mean, Josh Alexander, the gimmick at the moment for him is just great matches. And I love it. It's fantastic. The gimmick of great matches just works. So I'm sure that'll be a fantastic match as well. Other matches announced for the show include Eddie Edwards versus Ace Austin. Of course, the war between Honor No More and Bullet Club rages on when Eddie Edwards will face Ace Austin this evening. Again, should be a fantastic match. Going to be interesting what really the future is for both of these factions. Of course, Bullet Club, a staple of New Japan Pro Wrestling for a long time, and I think they'll have a presence on Impact Wrestling really as long as there is a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. But the curious thing, I suppose, is that the future of the Good Brothers, what is going to be part of that? They're part of Bullet Club, but their contracts are expiring. They're expected to leave Impact at the end of the summer. That's what they're booked through. Is any of that going to have a part in it? I don't know. I'm just kind of freestyling that one. The Honor No More one, again, is also interesting. I've spoken about this in the past, that I get when the faction first came in, the Ring of Honor sort of split off, and their justification for them being a faction made total sense. But Ring of Honor now exists again. So I don't know, but they've invested so much time into the name, I guess they'll have to just continue it. Also, other matches announced for the show include Laredo Kid and Trey Miguel versus Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice. I saw an interesting thing with Trey Miguel basically saying, and I don't think this pertains to Impact so much, but we'll have to wait and see, basically saying that on the independents at least, he's not taking any more singles bookings. He's going to take, it's either you book the Rascals or you don't book Trey Miguel, essentially. So he's getting bookings for Zachary Wentz. So it'll be interesting to see if in the future we do see Zachary Wentz re-emerge in Impact Wrestling. Whether or not Impact will want to go there, considering the circumstances of his release, from WWE, I don't know. I don't think Impact would be they're not one to shy away from controversy. This is the same company that put the World Championship on Tessa Blanchard. So that will be an interesting one. So keep an eye on that for the future. I think I wouldn't be shocked if we see Zachary Wentz appear for Impact Wrestling in the future. Once again, we have a Rascals reunion, at least 2/3 of one in Impact Wrestling. Finally, Killer Kelly. She has signed a new multi-year deal with Impact Wrestling. And this is a really fascinating story, actually, because several weeks ago, Killer Kelly revealed that she's actually been under contract to Impact Wrestling for the past 2 years. Now, this is, you would say, what? But we haven't really seen her many appearances, if any, but once or twice. Now, the negotiations between the two sides began after Kelly made her Impact debut in late 2020. She had then been facing visa issues, which prevented her from showing up again sooner. Of course, she had to take some time off as well for injuries, and she stepped back. She was having issues with breathing as well, and she was saying she was having matches and she was struggling to breathe. Of course, now that she is back, it has been confirmed she signed a new deal with Impact Wrestling. The Battleground podcast broke the news that Kelly re-signed with Impact for multiple years. She joined them on the podcast to chat about it and what she's looking forward to as she embarks on her Impact run. Her formal return to Impact Wrestling is being promoted, of course, for tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. In addition to that, as I mentioned, Kushida is making his in-ring debut as well. And I'm just really glad for her because she has been through a lot, a real lot over the last few years. Again, she did make her Impact debut, but then obviously she got signed, but then visa issues because of COVID and certain places were shut down to get the visa, and just immigration was just an issue. Everything was an issue during the pandemic, and it still is. There were still problems when it comes to all that kind of stuff. Travel is somewhat easier now. Places are open and it's easier to get visas, etc. But that was a massive problem at the time. Embassies weren't open. It was a nightmare. Once she finally did get that, or she was able to start working indie dates and possibly start going back to working for Impact, she then had issues with breathing, and she had to take some time off to get that fixed as well. So I'm glad that finally things are resolved. She's coming back to Impact Wrestling. She signed a new multi-year contract with the company. She's amazing talent. In NXT UK, I was a big fan of her work. So I think that she's going to be making some waves in Impact Wrestling. We know how they book female talent superbly. So I'm very excited for that, and good for her. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on today's Impact Wrestling news stories in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wrestling News, easy to say, 365, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.